Could nature hold more answers for our pets' health than we realise? Today's episode is a little bit different. Rhiannon's in the hot seat for a change, and we're going to find out.
Because no one else ever answers the phone. It's
Oh,
always
it's
me
a bit harsh.
with
that
three
is.
different hats on.
Right, today we're talking to BB Herbal. Thank you for joining us, Rhiannon.
You're very welcome, Andrew.
So BB Herbal is based in Edenbridge, Kent, and focuses on natural health solutions for pets rather than human herbal products. The business combines herbal medicine, homeopathy, bioresonance testing, holistic nutrition and natural pet products. It also operates alongside BB Pet Supplies, supplying natural foods, treats and supplements for dogs and cats. We will talk more in depth about individual areas such as testing, herbs and the nutritional services you provide in future podcasts. So let's start with the story. What inspired you to start BB Herbal?
Came from a need, really. And if you speak to anyone that's been in this industry as long as I have, they'll tell you there was a need. There's always a need. A particular animal, be it dog, cat, it stems from there. That you exhaust all of your conventional methods, and you look for other things. For me, I've always had an interest in herbs, oils, all of that, because coming from a medical background, I'd also undertaken training with homeopathy, herbs, essential oils, reflexology. I'd done all of that for humans, but obviously I wanted to do the same for animals. So it was a case of, it's almost like you wake up one day and go, hang on a minute, I've been doing all this. Why can't I do this for animals?
Yeah.
And then that's when the journey sort of started, because exploring, well, how can I do it?
Yeah.
What do I need to do? What can I use? What can't I do? Blah, blah, blah. And it sort of took off from there, really. That's how it started.
So was there a particular animal that changed the direction of your career?
There was, and she was a little boxer, white boxer called Molly, and a beautiful thing. She had a myriad of health issues. She was deaf, which wasn't a problem at all. She had allergies, and they were confirmed by the vet. We spent thousands of pounds on a vaccine. We did, and she had to have injections, immune therapy from America. Didn't work. The tablets at the time, I can't remember what they were, but obviously that's moved on because we're talking 15 odd years ago, so a long time ago, and nothing worked for her. So that's what set me off, because it was quite painful to watch her. But unfortunately, she also had other health issues, which were never going to be cured, and it was nothing to do with, and there were no herbs and no magic cures, no potions or lotions were going to fix the syncope type condition she had. And at the age of 18 months, she died. So it's quite tragic, but I just wanted to make her life better, more comfortable, and we did to a certain extent, and it was tragic, and we didn't know she was, when we picked up this little. And I blame you for this one, because she weed on your foot, and it happens every time. I know. You always go for the one that does it, and there she was, bless her little heart. I do think that in the short life that she had, we were very lucky. I'm very blessed. I learnt a lot from her, and I hope that we made life more comfortable for her.
I think we did. Yeah. So how did your interest in herbal medicine develop?
So again, it came from Molly, but I grew up as a child with animals, riding from a small age. Lucky that we, had a couple of a pony and a couple of horses, and there were dogs, cats, chickens, pigs, sheep, and my parents were the type of people, if there was an injured animal, it would be in our house.
Find its way to you.
Yeah, so a pigeon. I'm not a fan of birds, though, I have to say. Lambs that needed hand rearing, the cat that had broken its leg, or they were always in our house. So there was always an injured animal. So that, and the fact that we lived in the countryside, and you know, in those days, the vets weren't, you know, the vet was miles away. No one went to the doctors. People relied more on natural things where I came from, rather than, you know, you didn't have supplements, didn't have a shop. You know, the post office was open once a week. God, it sounds a bit rural, doesn't it? But that kind of stuff, you know, when you live in that environment, you make use of what you've got around you, and you have to. So, and you do forget that as you get older, you know, but you forget that you've actually lived in that kind of environment. And then,
in that era.
Yeah, you do. It'll make me sound really old, doesn't
days.
it? Yeah, when I was a lad.
So what's your approach to pet health?
Every animal's different. You know, it's a case of there's one size doesn't fit all. It really doesn't. And you can have two pups from the same litter. One can have issues. Doesn't mean to say the second, you know, sibling's going to have them. Or you can have a certain breed that, well, they're allergic or intolerant to certain things. Doesn't mean to say every animal in that, or every dog in that breed is the same. So you've got to literally look at each. They're all different, you know. They're like us, and you can't just say, oh yeah, that's a bulldog, so therefore it's going to have that, and that. No, they're not. They're all different. I mean, we've fostered them for years, and we've had, everyone has been different.
Yeah, experience tells us that.
Not two bulldogs have been the same that we've had, and we've fostered many, and we've had many of our own, and the one we've got now is completely different again.
It is, yeah.
They've got very similar traits, but no two of them got the same health issues. So it's a case of
on
always
the individual basis.
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely. It's got to be. You can't, you know, just go, oh yeah, that's got to be that. No, it's not. And I'm a big believer. Look, you sort of starting from inside out, you know, because you can have a perfectly healthy dog on the outside, but you don't know what's going on the inside. So it's looking about how can you support that dog, how can you improve things for that dog and their owner as well, because obviously their owners are extremely worried because this pet, dog, cat, horse, they can't talk, can they?
No.
So their guardian is their voice, and they have to speak for that animal.
So, holistic pet health. More owners are looking for natural alternatives. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that's quite similar again. It's for a need, you know, and I think people are more aware now of what's available out there. There are more holistic vets.
I'm sure social media has probably helped.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing about social media. It makes people more aware. However, there are downsides to that as well. But if you look at people that generally, you know, people are looking at healthier options for themselves and starting to go, oh, hang on a minute, what about my pets? You know, whereas some people would naturally do that because it's just the way they are. But I think, and maybe social media has helped that, so they're looking for alternatives. Okay, so my dog has this problem, so what's available possibly naturally that may help? And I think that's where it comes from. I think people are just more aware now of what's available out there.
So what are the biggest misconceptions about herbal medicine for pets?
It's a miracle cure. It's an instant cure. As with anything, you know, it takes time. Quite often it's about the gut actually and the system absorbing what it needs and then actually utilising that. That doesn't happen instantly. You know, it's with anything like that.
It's like conventional.
Yeah. So you can't take a pill and that's, it's, you need to build that up, you know, and I think that's where people get a lot of frustration from. Some things you can have a bit of a quick fix on, but quite often it's the long term.
But that's a lot to do with the world today.
Exactly.
Well.
You know,
everything for a quick fix.
Yeah, and everything's a lot more easy. You know, easy to go. Well, you know, you can just I'll have that. But you know, it's a case of that's fine. That's initially probably going to help the symptoms, but you need to take a step back and start unpicking why is this happening, you know, and looking at the wider picture again, you know, and that's where people like me come into it, and it can help people unpick and go back to a point in time and when did these things start, you know, because again, what you don't want is literally somebody going, grabbing 25 packets of supplements and then adding all those in, and the system becomes overloaded then and nothing works, and then the person loses faith in the fact, well, none of this is working, I've tried this and this.
Yeah, that's probably where social media doesn't help.
Yeah.
In that
again,
respect.
what works for one dog doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for another. So this is where people have to be, you know, look at exactly what's going on, and think about what is the problems, where's it stemming from, because that is really important.
Yeah.
That is.
How do herbs complement conventional veterinary care?
I mean, there are many that can, but obviously there are many that have got contraindications with conventional medicine. So obviously you need to be very, very careful, especially if you're taking joint supplements. Some of those joint supplements contain natural products which, again, are similar to conventional, and you can double dose.
Double dosing,
so you need to be really, really careful.
Okay.
But there are lots there that can. Say, for example, turmeric's brilliant, but obviously it does need other things in to activate and make it work. And then there's things like devil's claw, but that's one you need to be really careful with. If you're giving that, then you're having anti-inflammatory medications from the vet, those two clash. So this is where, you know,
it's not just as easy as sling the sake.
With conventional medication, there are contraindications, you know, for some things, something like thyme, which is brilliant for respiratory, but it's also a blood thinner. It can be used in, you know, so you need to be careful. So a dog that would be on blood thinners, you'd need to be really, really careful with.
Yeah.
So it's having a whole picture about what that animal medication that animal's on, and is it going to complement it, or is it going to work against it?
Comes in, doesn't it?
Exactly, and this is where all this, you know, years of working with these things and working through these things, and you know, as with everything, we're all learning. None of us ever stop learning. We should never stop learning. No, we learn every day.
We do. I won't say it, but every day's a school day.
Absolutely.
So
he does say that.
What conditions do you most commonly help with these days? Because I think it's probably changed over time as well.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I think the first thing people say is, "Oh, my dog's got allergies." Okay, right. So let's take a step back and tell me about your dog. Quite often they're not.
No.
Quite often, example, I think most common at the minute, my dog's paw licking. So my dog's got itchy paws. Actually, if you start taking back and stripping back the layers and have a conversation about, right, where did this dog come from? It's a rescue. What was the dog's background? Oh, it was kept in a shed. Right, okay. Now, we know a lot about this, obviously, because we've had quite a few of these. Quite often, I'm not saying all the time, but a coping mechanism is licking the paws. So they lick, you know, yes, it becomes painful, but because it's a behaviour they've learned. I'm not a behaviourist, and this is where I would then get someone else involved.
Releases endorphins.
Absolutely, yeah. So someone like Louise to get, you know, and maybe another dog trainer, but talk to Louise and say, look, or say to them, look, perhaps I can give you some advice, but I'm not a behaviourist.
No.
But a lot of people look at me and go, oh, no, that can't be right.
Yeah.
It's not right. A dog's got itchy paws. No, a dog hasn't, you know, hasn't got. And some do, don't get me wrong. Yeah, there are some out there, but quite often say that's quite an easy one to say.
So putting that to one side for a moment, what conditions do you actually most commonly help with herbs? Again,
quite often it is intolerances and sensitivities.
Right.
And the gut.
Yeah.
So it's actually... it's working with that animal again and looking at what's going on, and quite often a lot of things stem from the gut, the microbiome, and you know, if you can resolve that and get that working and everything right there, often that helps. But it's stripping everything back and finding out, you know. But it is, oh, my dog's allergic to life. No, they're not. You know, most dogs aren't. Most dogs have got issues. Don't get me wrong, there are allergic dogs out there. I'm not saying people haven't got them. But what I am saying is that there are a lot of dogs that have got other issues, and quite often it's just, oh, it's allergic. I'll just, you know.
It's blamed too quickly on the...
Because...
Again, social media probably doesn't help.
Well, yeah, quite often, I think. And I think this is where, you know, it does become difficult, because obviously we don't diagnose. We're not allowed to do those kind of things, which is absolutely right, because I'm not a vet. And they've studied for many years, and Dr. Lila comes in, quite having a chat with her about things. But by sitting down and taking and getting a full picture of exactly what's going on with that animal and stripping it all back, quite often there are things that you can do to start helping that dog, and those symptoms be managed easier and naturally. So yes, there's lots of things we can do, but you can't throw a quick pill at it. It doesn't work in the herbal world. No. You know.
Okay. Right, so let's move on to your bioresonance testing. Can you explain what bioresonance testing is in simple terms?
Right, okay. I will try. So, bioresonant works on the principle that every living cell emits an energetic frequency.
Right.
So, whether that be your heart, any of it. And what happens is the hair stores the information. So in a healthy person, those frequencies transmit as normal.
Right.
But in someone with maybe an intolerance, a sensitivity, they're disrupted.
Right.
And that information is stored. And I'm not sure it's the easiest way of explaining it, but I'm trying to explain it in that's how the process works.
Yeah.
That sample stores, whether it be hair, nail, blood, it stores that information,
Right.
and that's what's used. Now, the equipment used is very, very technical.
Yeah.
And it's very, very expensive, as you know. It doesn't involve shiny torches, lights. I know lots of people don't believe in it.
It's a lot of money for a torch, to be fair.
Yeah, it's the most expensive torch I've ever owned. But it does have its uses. It does not diagnose. What it can do, it can show where
Gives you a
imbalances.
picture, I suppose,
Yeah, and it can
doesn't it?
show where the
Yeah.
imbalances are, and it can help rebalance. And I think if you look at the world as we are now, there's more and more people coming forward that that are dealing with energetic frequencies, water, and all of these different things.
Yeah.
This is no different. It's been around for quite some time, but because it's so difficult to explain to people.
Yeah.
And also there are a lot of people, I will be honest, there are a lot of companies out there that literally run it through a scanning system.
Yeah.
And they don't do the groundwork. But there are many good people out there that do actually. There are quite a lot of vets that own this equipment. It's not just, not just people like me. There are vets that use it and they use it in their practices. So it's something that's recognised, not by all vets. A lot of people go, it's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
But there are vets out there that use it.
It's like-
And they use it frequently in their practices. But obviously we cannot diagnose with it, but what we can do is get a picture of what's going, the energy and the balance in the dog, what's going on.
Right. Okay. I think that was
Hopefully.
the simplest of terms,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. So what kinds of intolerances are you seeing most often?
Well, repetition.
Right, okay.
Let's start with exclusion diets. Right, okay. So an exclusion diet is the idea is that you feed a dog X for a month,
Yeah.
right, to see what's happening. Right, okay. So there are a few things about this. One, you risk repetition intolerance because you're feeding the same food. Two, you're narrowing the gut microbiome. It needs diversity. In order to function correctly, it needs diversity, which it gets from the different proteins.
Yeah.
So there are two issues with that. Okay, a lot of people swear by it, but it's something, and we can talk about that in the nutrition in a minute, but that is something that I don't really think. I've never really had any success, and I've seen many, many people come in and their dog's been eating rabbit for 6 weeks. There's not enough fat in rabbit
No,
for a
it's
start.
too lean, isn't
Rabbit
it?
is, and I know it's a novel protein, but to be fair, if you're not feeding it, it's a novel protein to your dog.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be
Novel. Yeah.
If your dog's never
Kangaroo.
had it,
Yeah.
it's a novel protein.
Yeah.
It's as simple
Yeah,
as that.
there's a
It's
bit of
not
mi-
rocket science.
Yeah, there's a bit of misconceptions.
There
Novel,
is, and that
it's
you know,
used a little bit.
and there are people that are going to disagree with me, but and that's fine. But for me, this is how I work. You need to and it's not a case of saying, right, you need to feed 20 proteins all at once. No, you gradually do these things, but
Build them up.
it's about the microbiome needs the diversity, and unless it's got the diversity, it starts to get sluggish and things. This is where a lot of problems stem from. And people say to me, my dog's allergic. No, it's not truly allergic. There are truly allergic dogs out there, but there are many dogs out there that have intolerances, and a lot of them are repetition to the same, because we get into the same habit of doing, we just feed the same food because it's easier.
And much is the same as we do ourselves.
Exactly.
Probably.
And some dogs are absolutely fine. And there are many dogs out there that have been on, I don't know, chicken flavoured, whatever, kibble for years, and it's fine. That's brilliant. If that works for your dog, that's great, but it doesn't work for a lot of animals.
No.
And that's not just dogs, that's cats. It's a little bit different with horses, but predominantly cats and dogs, which are the bulk of my clients that come through for the testing part.
Yeah.
I've done quite a lot of horses as well, but that tends to be different for different reasons. But repetition is
Yeah.
One of the biggest issues with them. And it's diversity. That's what they need.
Right, so moving on to nutrition. So how have you expanded your skills over time with nutrition?
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, been in the industry a long time. We've fed raw. We sell raw. I undertook the iPet training with Caroline Griffiths, who is fabulous. Caroline and I've been around for years. We've never crossed paths. We've known of each other, but obviously never really crossed paths until I undertook her course, which was very, very thorough. And when you become a certain age and you go back and start training this kind of, it's really hard. But it's very, very thorough. So it covers fresh. It covers all of the kibbles. It covers everything. There's a lot about the biology, the mechanism, everything. So for me, that was just something I wanted to do because there are so many nutritionists out there. That's the other thing. Anyone can say they're a nutritionist. You can go on to there are many companies out there that offer you a diploma for 50 quid and you do an online course. This took me, I can't remember, about 9-10 months, was it? Maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah, about 9-10 months, right?
Lots of assignments.
Yeah, it's quite hard work.
Lots of research, which is how it should be. And obviously they're trying to get recognition to get this qualification. It's Ofqual regulated as well. So it's a regulated course. So they're trying to get vets as well to accept the qualification, which would be good, you know, because obviously there are not many vet nutritionists out there. Again, it's really hard for them to do. So it's something that they're really keen to try and work together with. And at the end of the course, you have to do a 20-minute presentation, and I think it's 2,500 word essay on a subject and how the diet affects. Mine was anal glands. So, and if anyone needs to know anything about anal glands, I am the person. Honestly, I can't believe it. Anal glands of all. But again, it's so important. You know, there are so many dogs out there that suffer from impacted anal glands or infected. You know, why is that? And once they start having to have them manually emptied, the dog then appears to lose the ability.
Yeah, slippery slope.
And it's constantly having to go and have them expressed, or they, heaven forbid, they need to have them removed.
Yeah.
You know, so it was quite interesting because I thought at the time, oh God, I can't believe this. Trust me. Anal glands. But yeah, absolutely. Really enlightening the more and more and more, because obviously we know about it. We know why, what, but obviously when you're going into so much death and case studies and, you know, it's quite... Yeah. But it's a really good course. It's a long course, lots of hours. There are minimum hours of study, assignments. You have to create so many different things. There are leaflets and you name it. There's so much that you need to. And Caroline's very good. Yeah. And we must get Caroline on here. Yeah. Actually, because obviously we'll ask Caroline. But so she can tell people about the course. But
perhaps I'll ask her while I'm doing it.
Yeah. So maybe. Obviously you're about to undertake it. Good luck with that. And so many nights of study, as you know. But the good thing is, I've got all the books. So the reading list you don't need to buy.
True story.
Maybe I could sell them to you. Second-hand books.
Maybe you think again. Okay, so how important is diet in preventing long-term health problems?
Well, as with humans, if you've got a healthy diet, you know, and you're eating a good balance with all the different things that are required, minerals, vitamins, calcium, you know, everything. Yeah. Then we're healthy. Yeah. But then when we start to lack certain things, things happen, as we know. So it's really, really healthy to get a good balanced diet, whether you be a dog, cat, horse, human. Yeah. It's, you know, we are all the same. We need a good diet. Without the fuel and the correct fuel, we don't work properly.
Very true. Why are so many people switching to raw or natural feeding?
Well, I think a lot more people are aware of what's in the bowl, what's going into the bowl. Yeah. And if you look, the course that I undertook, obviously with Caroline, you go through a lot of the different manufacturers. There's so many different manufacturing processes out there. And there are lots of foods that are actually very low meat content. Yeah. Protein and meat are very different. Obviously, raw or and wet, very high in moisture, whereas the dry food has very little moisture. So so there are lots of these different things. People are finding what necessarily comes out the other end of a dog that's dry fed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of waste, and why is that? So they start looking at, well, what's in the food, perhaps.
Yeah.
There are some foods have a lot of carbohydrates, and yes, they do need a certain amount, but some of them are causing spikes.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily need that amount of carbs, and what's happening to that dog when its system is flooded with all of that. So lots of things like this, people are a lot more aware as they are with themselves.
And social media as well.
Absolutely.
Probably,
so that is a good thing about social
and
media.
everything is a little bit more transparent these days.
Exactly.
Everything gets exposed more. Everything gets interrogated more through social media.
Yeah. So and there are lots of. Don't get me wrong. There are good kibbles out there. Good dry food. Good wet. And it's the same with every food. There are the same with raw. There are good, and there are perhaps not so good. It's like with everything, really, to be honest. But I think people are generally more aware of what they're feeding their animal, the long-term effects. What's the benefit? It's not a fad. It's been around for a long time. And we have lots of people that come in and say, an old chap in his 80s comes in once a week, picks some food up, and he's been coming for about 2 years now. And he said, years ago we used to feed blah, blah, blah. It's not too dissimilar to what he's feeding now. However, there's a lot more thought gone into it.
Of course there is,
But as he said, we used to feed all this raw meat years ago. And so it's not, it's a different version of it.
Yeah.
There's more science behind it. There's more guidelines behind it. Whereas years ago, it wasn't quite so, there wasn't any of the bodies behind it managing it and governing what was going in to pet food.
So just to put you on the spot now, what's best, a good kibble or a cheaper raw food?
Depends on the dog. And that's the honest, because you can have, not every dog will benefit from a raw diet. Not every dog suits a raw diet. No. And not every dog can cope with a dry food, a wet. And I know because we've got two of them that just cannot be on kibble. So, for example, if a boxer, some boxers, absolutely fine, nothing but problems with any boxer we've had that's been on a dry, we've had to feed dry food for whatever reason, it's not worked. So it really, again, it depends on the animal. They're all different. You can get some very good kibbles that will suit a certain dog, but it probably won't suit the next one. The same with the raw. Some dogs just don't tolerate raw very well. Now, that could be because that is a lesser quality, maybe. Yeah. And it may not be.
Right, so business. Building a specialist business in natural pet care isn't easy. What challenges have you faced?
Quite a few over the years. So when I first started, there was a lot of, Facebook wasn't that popular.
No.
There was no Instagram, there was no TikTok. And it was word of mouth.
It was
quite
Facebook,
often.
wasn't it?
Facebook was around,
better,
because obviously my group on Facebook, that started, I can't remember anyway. But if you look at where it is now to where it was then, so started the products that I'd actually made for my own dogs, people would, locally ask me about, didn't you have, and it sort of spiraled from that. And then obviously it became, as it got bigger, we started doing shows. So we used to do a lot of shows. We had a motorhome, quite often had a foster, so we may have 4 or 5 dogs with us, and off we go. For example, East of England show, Peterborough, that's is it East of England, 4 days. So used to go 4 days. Up there, take the dogs, take the motorhome, set up products, and I'd have people come to see me every year because they'd come and buy the products that they needed.
You used to have a lot of repeat customers.
Yeah, so a lot of repeat customers at the shows, but that becomes quite difficult because you spend more time travelling, and then you've got to come back and then start making things again because you've got repeat orders. You've then got people contacting you via your website. It was
quite hard, wasn't it?
It was really, so that was really, really difficult in the early stages because you're trying to balance everything. You're trying to build it, and social media wasn't really a thing to build businesses on then. Like it is now, it's a lot easier. A lot of people, find it easier. I'm
And
a
we're
bit
not
old.
really of that generation.
I'm a
either,
bit
are
old
we?
school, you know. I prefer to talk to people.
Yeah.
I hate social media with a passion, as probably most people do. I have to be forced to do things on social media. I would rather come and talk to me,
Yeah.
pick the phone up, you know, or send me an email. I'll call you, video call. I don't mind that kind. That's brilliant. Or I'd much rather face to face. I think it's a much more personal service. And I know it's not possible because we don't travel around anymore. But
It used to be good in the old days.
yeah, I
didn't
mean,
it,
and
to
it used to be
fair?
nice because we had
Yeah.
friends in rescue, you know. So like Lizzie, who's up in Chester, she owns I'm with the dog. So if you're ever in Chester, go and see Lizzie because she's fabulous. She's got a raw shop as well. So we used to quite often be next to Lizzie at shows,
Yeah.
and we used to have an absolute hoot. So you made friends as well in the industry because obviously they're all dog shows you go into. But so for then to now, it's very, very different, you know, because word of mouth is now social media.
Yeah.
And social media can kill and cure you. You know, it really can.
Yeah.
You can get one person that doesn't agree with what you're
Oh,
doing.
we know about one bad review and things like that.
Yeah,
as well,
one bad
don't we?
review, you know,
Yeah.
but people always remember you for the one thing you did wrong or you got wrong.
That's
You know,
very
and this
true,
is the awful thing about social media. People forget about, you know, I've got customers out there that I've had for years and their initial animals have died and they've now got new ones and they come back to me, you know, which is really, really nice. But you're always remembered for the thing you did wrong, maybe, you know, or you didn't answer someone's question
Yeah.
how it was expected. The other thing is, I mean, regulation out there, it's pretty much the same. It's still really hard, and as it should be, you know. So you've got to work within
Yeah.
the framework, you know, and you have to explain that to people that, you know,
Yeah.
these things there to protect your animal, as they should be, and that's really important. But I still get called a witch, which is fine. You can call me a hedge witch. I prefer that. I got called by a vet on Facebook, wrote a rather nasty comment on one of my posts many years ago, saying I was a witch. And nicely, quite a few of my customers actually jumped to my defence, which was really good of them. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to report this to Facebook because I'm sure this must come under racism. I don't know, whatever phrase it comes under. And Facebook said, no, it's not. You have to live with it, which is fine. That review's still there. You know, if that's entitled. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Well, they are.
But if you want to call me a witch, that's fine. I'm really not bothered.
Which,
Yeah, thank you.
so how has customer awareness changed over the years?
Well, I think, again, social media has improved that for people. A lot of people are more aware of what's available, what they can and can't do, and also more because there are more people like me out there, and they're posting more and more information. People are learning, which is great, you know, or people are going away and doing their own research, which what I would always suggest people do. Don't take it just at face value that what that one person is posting is correct.
No.
Because we've all got, although, for example, if you're talking about a herb, the benefits of a herb will always be the same. That's not going to change. But how you use it, how I use it, and how someone else may be slightly different. Yeah. We may get to the same result, but by a different way. You know, so always question. That is so important. And, you know, never ever, when you go into a vet or you go into a specialist, whatever, if you take your children, whether you take your dog, whatever, you always ask questions. Yeah. Never be afraid. There isn't a silly question in our world. Never is. You know, I'd rather people ask me than go away thinking, we should ask that. You know, you can always email me. It's not a problem. Although, please, you know, I do say to people, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night isn't always a great time to contact people. You know, we work very long hours, so
well, you wouldn't expect an answer at that.
No,
time of
you
night
wouldn't get an
anyway,
answer
really,
from
so,
you know. But people do get irate because they've you know, because you message. That's the only thing about social media; it makes you instantly available to people as well. So that is the one thing that isn't great about social media, but there are lots of good things about it. But it's important that people find someone that works for them. Like I say, there are lots. There are so many people doing this now. To when I first started, you know, some people are known better in certain worlds than others. Yeah, I'm probably better known in the bulldog and boxer world because I've worked with those, and I don't just work with those. Shar-Peis, you know, one of the Shar-Pei groups. Work with lots of Shar-Pei owners. I work with all breeds, you know, but obviously you get sort of people that will go, well, if you've got that type
Yeah,
of breed,
get
go to that.
pigeonholed.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
get pigeonholed.
yeah.
You know, to me, it's irrelevant whether it's a bulldog, it's a shepherd, it's a Dobie, Canine Corso, XL Bully. You know, they're all. It's irrelevant to me. You need to see past the breed.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that dog is individual. Doesn't matter. Yes, some breeds have got traits. That doesn't mean to say that that dog will have all of those traits until you start questioning.
Yeah. Well, so you think awareness has got better over the
It
years?
has, yeah, absolutely. I think more people are more aware and more open as well.
So what makes BB Herbal different from other natural pet businesses?
I think for me, it's because I've lived and breathed this. You know, I am a bit like my parents, or we are. You are, well, you're not that you are, but we attract, and I think we attract animals for a reason. There's always been something that has needed something.
Yeah.
Never been straightforward, although the two we've got now are pretty straightforward,
pretty good
which is
too,
quite nice.
Haven't got much wrong with them.
No, and it makes a real change. But for me, I've lived and breathed with dogs that have been truly horrifically allergic, or they've had syncope, hip dysplasia, you name it. We've had so many animals over the years that have had
I mean,
severe.
it's experience. So what you're saying really is experience.
Yeah, so, and I'm not saying that I'm more experienced, but for me, it's because I live and breathe it. So when somebody says to me, oh, you don't understand how I feel. No, I don't understand how you feel about your dog, but I have been in that situation. So I know how difficult it is. I know how frustrating. I know how upsetting. I know that because I've been there at 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, when the dog's been so uncomfortable and you just want to cry, you know, or I've looked after dogs for the rescue that have had surgery that they're not expected to live. You know, all these things, we've done that. And that, I think, for me, makes me, for me, it makes me feel different, you know, because I've been privileged, and not some of it's privilege, some of it isn't unlucky. No. Some of it's I've been extremely, extremely unlucky with some of the animals, but blessed by they've helped me. And in turn, I've helped them. We've learnt together, you know, and we've grown together. And I think that's what's helped the business, because, I'm not just someone that sits there and, you know, I've quite often had that problem and had to deal with it, you know. And face barriers and brick walls. Yeah. So I know how difficult it is for people.
Okay, so let's turn to the future. Mm-hmm. So where do you see holistic pet healthcare in the UK over the next decade?
I think it's going to become more regulated. I think you're starting to see things now with conventional, so things like the flea treatments and what's happening with all that. There are more and more holistic vets, which is brilliant, you know. But there's certain things I can't do, and you know, there's like a line. Now, whether there'll be there's more acceptance of people like me, I don't know. But I think it's gathering momentum. You know, more and more people are wanting holistic options for their pet, and they're wanting available. You know, and there are more people like me available out there. But obviously, in order to be, for example, insured, you have to have a qualification in something to be insured in the pet industry. You can't, you know, could say, oh, I'm a holistic pet, or I'm a herbalist, or I'm a nutritionist. You've got to have something behind you that allows you to have insurance, your public liability, you know. So, you know, for those of us that have got all of that, you know, it would be nice to have something where we can go, well, actually, you can get a referral from a vet. Yeah. You know, we're not diagnosing, but we can assist. Yeah. There are things that we can do to assist, you know. We're not there to diagnose. We're not there to do their job. We're there to work and support with them. And that would be nice. And I hope that at some point in the future, it's either going to go one or two ways. It'll either, no, you can't do any of that, because obviously VMD there is to protect the welfare of animals, and the, you know, they do a very good job of what they do, but there are lots of things you can't do in this industry, you know, and that's fine. We're absolutely fine with that. But obviously there may be lots of people that are not aware of, you know, terminology, things that you can't cure. Yeah. You know, there are things that you cannot. I mean, I've white labelled a lot of products for a lot of companies that are out there. Which I can't say they are, but that's something I've also done. I don't do it so much now because it's very time consuming. But having to go through all of this with them and say, well, you can't say that.
Yeah.
You can't have that on your product. You know, there are so many things you cannot say and cannot do. And I think people are coming up against that. You see on some of the groups now.
Because I mean, it's not very well regulated. Though.
No,
I mean, it wasn't maybe better, a bit better nowadays.
It probably is.
But
when I first started, it's only when you get you get an email from them saying, "Oh, you're not allowed to say that particular thing," and then you go, "No, okay, that's perhaps not the right way of putting a tiny one word on a product." And you think you've gone through everything and you've got it right, and there's that one. You can't treat, you can't cure. There are so many things you're not allowed to say, and this is why I think a lot of Facebook groups are now, if you look on them, that are offering advice, rightly or wrongly. Admin only are allowed to comment. Right, that's fine, but admin do need, people do need to be aware that can come back and bite you. Yeah. So you need to be very, very careful what you're saying, especially on social media, because everything's monitored now. So people do need to be careful what they're saying when they're
terrible.
And again,
2 words.
Yeah.
AI.
You have to be.
They're monitoring a lot more.
You have to be. And I'm not a conspiracist, but you do need to be careful. And I can see why they're trying to protect their group, but also they need to protect themselves, because it's fine you people turning off commenting and not being able to say anything, but you're still offering that advice, or are you suggesting? Well, it needs to be very, very carefully done how you word things, especially on social media. So it's quite difficult, and it would be nice if we could have some kind of regulation. For people like me, there are quite a lot of us that have been around for a long time that you perhaps don't hear about as much now, because there's lots of new people popped up. They've done various different things and are combining it, which is brilliant, because it is about the whole animal. It's not just about, one thing, and that's what people need to remember. It's the animals as a whole.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So, what advice would you give someone who wants to improve their pet's well-being naturally?
Well, obviously, find someone that you can work with. It's like trainers' behaviour is, you sometimes you don't always go with the first person because you don't necessarily connect. No. But find someone that connects with you and your dog. Recommendations are great, but talk to that person. If they're not local, ask them for a Zoom call, see how they are. Talk to them about your animal and see what is it. Does it resonate well with you? Again, obviously they shouldn't be offering to cure your dog. They can assist you in trying to help the quality. But so have a look around. There's lots of money, but not necessarily go with the first person you speak to, because sometimes I've had that some people you just don't gel with. No. Or some people I'm not. So the way I'm not direct and say, I'm not like take a big stick and hit people. You will do, but some people need that. But that's not how I work. At the end of the day, I'm not about to say you have to do that, because I can't. No. We're not allowed to do things like that, but some people will sort of steer that they have more of that mannerism about them naturally. But that's, at the end of the day, that's not how I work,
Right, so personal questions. What's the most rewarding part of your work?
I think seeing the relief on the guardian and the pet's face when we can actually find something that's actually help them. That's the biggest thing. The relief is just so rewarding that because quite often I'm the end of the road. Normally when people come to me, I'm the last stop. They've tried everything else, and so that relief is just, that's enough. Yeah, that is. Yep.
Okay. What animals do you have the pleasure of living with?
Well, we have 4. One bull boxer, who is a white boxer, and he's 6 and called One Ball because he had one testicle when he was born. Typical boxer. And we also have Fidget, who is... I don't know why I'm going, because I know this. No, I know. Yeah, I know. You know all this anyway. So it's a bit weird telling you. Fidget, who is 2.5 now. He's a bulldog, named Fidget because he doesn't sit still. He fidgets in his sleep.
Yeah.
Always on the go, always up to stuff. Always stuff going on in Fidget, and normally Womble's following him. Then we have the 2 cats, Sprout, who is a male blue Persian. He must be about 8 now. He was hand-reared, has no concept that he's a dog. Yeah, he just... no concept he's a dog. He actually thinks he's a dog, is what I meant to say. Doesn't know he's a cat. Please don't tell him if anyone meets him. And then we have Gloria, who is a doll-faced Persian. She's got to be about 4 now.
Yeah.
And she's a tortie, but she's tiny. In comparison to Sprout, she's quite small. And they all get on together very well. Sprout's definitely in charge of the house. So that's the 4 of them.
So, which pet has taught you the biggest lesson out of all the ones you've owned?
That would be Mouldy, who was the little deaf bulldog that came to us at about 6 months old, I think she was.
6 or 8, wasn't she?
She was already in foster with someone else and then came to us and stayed with us. Mouldy was quite unique in that her allergies changed daily, and we couldn't leave her on her own. So wherever I went, Mouldy went. She came to me with shows everywhere. If rain was just horrific, she just couldn't do rain. I don't know what it did to her, but her skin. But you always knew if it was going to rain because of the look of fear on her face. And I learnt a lot from her. You know, unfortunately, she suffered with lots of different conditions, but she taught me a lot, and I do miss her dearly. And I'm sure people that used to come to the shows and see us as well, they all even now still talk about her and her best mate Frank. They were a bit of a double act. Yeah. So she is gone, but never ever forgotten. So to be fair, none of them have ever forgotten. But Mouldy was just that bit different.
Right. So, what's one myth you'd love to bust?
I'm not a witch.
Right, okay.
Well, I could be. I am possibly a head witch, but
I'll keep quiet on that subject.
But yeah, obviously, I'm not sure if I mentioned this already, but yeah, I was accused of being a witch by a vet, which is fine. I suppose that's quite polite. So some things people get called, but yeah, I'm not a witch. I'm just a normal person that uses herbs and various different things to help where I can.
Right, so let's move on to quick fire questions.
Okay.
These are the one-liners. So, favourite breed?
Difficult one.
It's either going to be bulldog or boxer.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of breeds I love. And
one dog's going to get upset more than the other one.
Well, yeah, I know which one will get upset more than the other. I'd love a Brussels Griffon, but he said no, because apparently it's just like the cats. So, no, not allowed one of those. But it's got to be a bulldog, I think.
Bulldog, then.
They're all very different. We've had many over the years, all different.
I'll let Womble know later.
Yeah, I love Womble desperately, but yeah.
Right, quick fire. Favourite herb?
Thyme. Very versatile, but again, just be careful.
I thought you said name, but
no. If the dog's taking anything for blood thinning, then you need to be very careful. No, neem stinks. It's horrible. It's very good, but it stinks.
Very good, though, isn't it?
It does, but it stinks.
Yeah. Right, dogs or cats? So there's going to be two that's going to be upset here, somewhere along the line.
Let's go with dogs. So keep Womble in.
Yeah.
You're happy. Dogs.
Okay. Do you do to relax?
Sleep.
Apart from sleep, you do a little bit of crochet.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally do things, but mainly nowadays. I'm at that age where I can't have a nana nap, so I have to go to bed early.
Yeah, true story. Tea or coffee?
Tea, Yorkshire tea, strong, builder's tea.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Of course. Closing question. If every pet owner listening today remembered just one thing about keeping their animals healthy naturally, what would you want that message to be?
Well, if they're looking to explore into alternative therapies or, just having a conversation with, whether it be their vet or anyone, ask questions. Always question. So that would be my advice to anyone. Even to me, ask me questions. Ask why.
Right, that's it for today. Your chance now, as we always give to our other guests, chance for you to get your plug in. So plug away, Rhiannon.
Okay, you can find me on Facebook. I have a page which is BB Herbal. Also, I have a Facebook group called BB Herbal Holistic Animal Health. You can catch me on Instagram under the Paw Store and TikTok under the Paw Store, or you can email me at contact@bbherbal.trade. Is that correct? Yeah. I have to stop and think. Don't email yourself very often. Or via my website, which is www.bbherbal.com. bbherbal.trade. Quickest and best way to contact me is by email. Obviously quite busy, so sometimes it does take me a while to respond, but I will reply to you. You can, of course, phone me as well. The number is 01732 865 400 and it's option 3. However, you can press any option and I will answer the phone, to be fair, because no one else ever answers the phone. It's always me
a bit harsh
with 3 different hats on. Yeah. So you know where I am. Drop me an email. Any questions, please just drop me an email. Look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much.
That's all right. Who's cooking tea tonight, you or me?
Probably me, because it's very quick and easy. So for everyone out there, if you haven't done so already, don't forget you can subscribe, like and share below.
I think we've got a couple of other guests coming up soon, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
So just a quick on that one. We have Maria from Double M Dog Training, and she works with the local rescue file farm with their reactive dogs. So we'll be talking to her about fear reactive dogs and how you manage that. And then we do have a dog groomer coming in who's going to talk to us as well about dog grooming and the challenges and the positive bits that will, so if you've got any grooming questions or any fear reactive questions, you can always contact us.
You can indeed. And don't forget that I am going chicken training.
Oh yes, Andy's going chicken workshop training on Sunday. And that'd be quite interesting because apparently chickens are very, very intelligent. And if you can train a chicken, you can train a dog. So I'm expecting massive things when he gets back with our 2 dogs. It should be quite funny, actually. So poor old Louise has got a big job on her hands. But I'm sure Andy's going to take lots of videos. And we'll probably get Louise back in another time as well to go through that and have a chat about what happens. Yeah. I don't like birds, so I'm not really going.
No. Leave it with me. I'm just going to, So till next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Good nature hold more answers for our pets' health than we realise. Today's episode is a little bit different. Rhiannon's in the hot seat for a change and we're going to find out.